Vigilant Websites, and today I'm talking to you about DIY WordPress website using Cpanel to set it up. If you have hosting and you have Cpanel and you want to run a WordPress website, this is a really great way to do it. It's really simple, user-friendly. WordPress is a great system for content management. Much better, I think, than a lot of these, website builders and these different things that they have out there. And you have the flexibility when you have your own hosting account to do a lot more with it than you do, say, with some little system that lets you add a picture here and there or do something. So I wrote all this out in a tutorial, which is maybe where you found this video, maybe not, but I'll put a link in the video description. But you've got everything you need here to do it. But the first thing you want to do is secure a domain name. I personally recommend register.com. Network Solutions is also a good option. I don't like GoDaddy. I have my reasons, but I don't like GoDaddy. So I've done that. I have a domain name that I've had for a little while. I don't really do anything with it. I'm going to use this to show you the process by which you would set up your WordPress website using Cpanel. So the first thing is you want to secure your domain name. Now you do that however you want to do that. You register it. You've paid for it. It's yours now for however long you've purchased it for, or however long you choose to renew it every year. And we're ready to go. So we've got our domain name, but we need to change what's called a DNS. That's a domain name server. And your DNS is what tells the world that, in this case, thenetworkhandyman.com is going to a specific website address, so a specific server on the internet. So it's going to use an IP address. Well, it takes that IP address, it converts the name into that IP address seamlessly behind the scenes. You never see any of this, but that's what's happening with the domain name server. And every internet provider maintains their own domain name server. So if you're with Comcast, if you're with Verizon, if you're talking on your cell phone or using any of that kind of technology, it's all using a different domain name server. So this is what happens is after you make this change, the domain name servers have different propagation rates. Some maybe are only set to do every 24 hours. Some are set every 5 minutes. Some are set to constantly be refreshing that information. So as you make this change, depending on who your internet service provider is, whether it's Comcast or others, you're going to have different results in the speed in which you'll be able to do the things you want to do. I've had it take as long as 24 hours. And I've also had it go instantly happen. So it really just depends on who your internet service provider is. Some fly-by-night internet service providers in rural areas, I do have customers that have had, a longer wait time as their name server is not properly updated. So once that's done, you're going to go in here where it says our D, and you find something that says DNS. In this case, it was under More DNS servers, and here we go, our DNS. I want to do custom DNS. There are other ways to do this. You can set what's called A records and MX records and a bunch of different stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it real simple for you. DNS. In this case, NS941.website. And NS942. And this is with the company that I'm hosting with and that I host my clients with, okay? You hit Save Changes. Did I hit Save Changes? No. Okay. Yes, I want to switch away, blah, blah, blah. Here's our message. It could take a while. It usually doesn't. So that'll take whatever time it takes to save. As you can see, it's doing its thing right there. And then it says it's been updated. Has it? We don't know. We won't know until we're pretty much done with this process if it actually went through. But we can still do everything else we need to do apart from that. The next thing you need to do, as I've shown here, is set up your hosting. Now this tutorial is going to focus on Cpanel hosting. In many other hosting environments, you can do a lot of these same things. They might be under different names, but you're usually going to have a tool that's going to install WordPress and install these things for you. And I highly recommend you use those because you don't, unless you just want to know how to do it and how to do the setting up a database and doing all those things, it's really unnecessary. you can do that, but it is, I think it's fun. I've learned how to do it and done it many times manually, but with this newer tool, it's really a lot easier for the average person to use WordPress. So you need to secure hosting. And hosting, I've got a post on my website. If you go here up at the top, it says, what is website hosting? Talks about some different things. My hosting's $99 a year. It works out to $825 a month. If you want me to host your site, just go onto this post and click the sign up link. I'll be happy to host your site. But once you've secured hosting, however you want to do that, you're going to log in. And you're going to get a cPanel login screen that's going to look like that. And in most cases, you can go to cpanel.whateveryourwebsite.com and it'll take you right there. In the case of us, where we haven't really set up, we just set up the domain name server. Some of these other things, which are called a subdomain, don't work for that 24 to 48 hours. It's just a quirk I've noticed. But in most cases, you can one way or another get into your cPanel, and there's usually a backdoor that most hosting providers provide. In my case, it's cpanel.vigilantwebsites.com. You can get to get there. But let's see here. So you've logged into your hosting. Close that. And we get to this. Close that too. And so our domain name's done. Boom, we're going to close that. So I've shrunk down what we don't need. What we want is mail, and we want software and services. Everything else for the purposes of this tutorial is irrelevant and unneeded at the moment. Okay, so mail, the reason you want to set up an email account is because it's going to email you the details of these credentials we're about to create, and all the information and the success or failure of the WordPress installation is going to send to that. So you have two ways you can do that under cPanel, and I'm not going to really go into detail here. I'm just going to give you the basics. Email accounts, and that actually sets up an email that you would log into in whatever way you wanted to log into it, or it sets up a forward. And this one I like because for the purposes of this, I can set up info at or webmail at or whatever, and then forward it to my personal email address. Long term, that's probably not the best option, depending on what your site structure and business model is. But for the purposes of this process, it's not a bad way to go. So once your email's done, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of your cPanel window here, and you're going to go to what's called Quick Install. And I'll show you here. So we've set up our email. It's going to look like this when you log in. So you're going to go to Quick Install right here. It looks like a little clock or a stopwatch with a little arrow coming out of it. Site software, other ones some of these will do different things. I like Quick Install. The reason I like Quick Install is because it has this global updates option where it'll update automatically for you, which keeps all the latest security patches and all the stuff for WordPress up to date as much as possible. And then it tells you when it's done this. So after it's done it, you can go, oh, that's been done. I better check my website, make sure it's not broken. But at least all the security patches are done. And then I have a post up about backing up your website. Go read that post and do that. You can do all that with cPanel as well. So in this case, we want to install WordPress. You can see I've got some other installations of things in here. In this case, here we go, WordPress. So you click WordPress, it's going to give you some information, how much space it's going to take. And most sites aren't going to go past 400 megabytes unless you're really, really, really using your website on a regular basis and dumping lots of photos. So you can see mine's pretty huge, but I've got a ton of stuff up on my website. So we click Continue, and in this case, I've got more than one domain name under my control panel. So I want to do the networkhandyman.com, and I've got a note in the tutorial not to use the word admin as your admin user here. So I'll just say info at the network handyman. Let's just go with the user is our admin user. You can create whatever you want. Admin is the reason you want to use admin is the bots that the hackers use that just comb the internet looking for security flaws. If you haven't updated your WordPress website, which I do know people that haven't done that in over a year, there could be a security flaw and that's open still, and then they could find it. So in this case, let's go with John Doe and click install. And it'll take not long at all, as you can see. It's certainly faster than doing it manually, that's for sure. Okay, and those of you who can see this, don't worry. I'll be deleting this site once this tutorial is over, so it won't be accessible. But as you can see, it gives you the username, the password, which is pretty robust. You can keep that password or log in here and change it. So let's see if the okay, before I click on this, I want to show you something. So it says, for more information on this plugin and its configuration, please visit this. I'm not a fan of caching plugins. I am constantly updating things and going in and doing things. There is a purpose for a caching plugin. If your site's getting a ton of traffic, I do see that it can be a good option for your site. But in most cases, I'm not a fan of these. I have my reasons. It's a personal preference. But if you want to disable that, you have to manually go in and enter plugins and disable that. So in this case, let's try and log in and see what happens. Okay, so see my name servers, Comcast, is updated already. So let's see the user. And let's go ahead with our password here. Cut and paste. Okay, there you go. And so it shows you some of the other stuff that's in. Some of these things I don't really, I pretty much go in and I disable everything. So you can go into active, which are only 3. Go click here, bulk actions, deactivate, apply. You may want those, you may not want those, that's fine. So these are some prepackaged ones. And then the only other thing I'm going to get into here is under construction. Something I like to do, I'll go to search plugins and just type in under construction. You can see I've done that a lot. So if I go to under construction, and I've liked the one that's made by Jeremy Massal. It's a real simple one, no frills, easy to use, and what this does is blocks all non-logged in traffic. So if you're not logged in, it just says under construction. So as you're doing these changes, you're making the site look awesome, adding new themes, adding new pages, everyone's not constantly seeing the jackleg look of your website until it's ready to be launched, until you're ready to have it out there. So I like under construction, and then you go into settings after you've activated it, and you need to, of course, turn it on. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and log out so I can show you why I'm a big fan of this. Okay, there you go. Now you can make a custom message, do all kinds of stuff like that, but in this case, I've just left it stock. Networkhandyman.com is coming soon. If you wanted to go in, and you can see I have manage installations, I put this in the tutorial as well. Say you forgot your password. Oh, rats, what is my password? Or you want to just hard change it. You want to make it easy. You don't want to log in and go to the user section and change it. You can change it right here. All right, you can also generate a password. It'll generate lots of crazy, robust passwords. Of course, if you forget that, you're going to have to log back in and change it. So I hope this video helps. I hope this gives you some insight into what you can do. If you sign up for my hosting, you get some great links to some theme sites, but I'll just go ahead and give them to you. Woo Themes is a very good theme company, as well as themeforest.net. So you can just search Google for those things, and you'll find there's just some great stuff out there for you to have an awesome website. And you don't have to, I'll be happy to do all of this for you and to take all the content you've got and put it into a website. But I know times are tough right now. I know the economy is not not doing as great, and it's hard on small businesses and startups, and you're going to get something going, and you need to market yourself, but you don't have $800 to do a website, or $1,800 to do a website, whatever it is you're trying to do. WordPress will do everything you need it to do. So I hope this helps.